Jaehyun shocked. Jimin of BTS dares to do something surprising at an official event. What really happened behind that moment? No one expected that during an official event held with full honor and strict protocol, one of the members of BTS, Jimin, would take an action that silenced the entire room. Even Jin, known for always being calm and professional in every situation, clearly showed an expression of surprise, something rarely seen from him. What exactly did Jimin do to make the atmosphere change so drastically in a matter of seconds? The incident began when BTS attended an awards ceremony attended by important figures from the South Korean entertainment world. The members appeared in formal suits, friendly smiles, and dignified attitudes. However, in the midst of that courteous atmosphere, Jimin suddenly did something completely unexpected. He grabbed the microphone, spoke spontaneously without a script, and made a very bold statement. Something that even the organizers had never predicted. Instantly, Jin, who was standing next to him, turned with a startled expression. Jin's eyes widened, while his hand was briefly raised as if to stop Jimin. The invited guests looked at each other, confused whether to applaud or hold their breath. In a world that highly values caution in every word and action, Jimin's courage became the center of attention. What he said was not just an ordinary sentence. With a trembling but steady voice, Jimin spoke about honesty, pressure, and how an artist often has to restrain themselves to maintain a public image. He emphasized that behind the smiles of idols, there are struggles and exhaustion that are not always visible to the camera. That statement, although it sounded simple, pierced through the formality of the event and touched the hearts of many who heard it. Jin, who has known Jimin since his trainee days, seemed torn between pride and worry. He knew that Jimin's words were very brave, even potentially controversial in some circles. But on the other hand, Jin also understood how sincere and honest Jimin was. The television camera that focused on Jin's face captured a mixed expression: shock, admiration, and restrained pride. After that moment, the atmosphere of the event changed. The audience began to applaud, not because of protocol, but because of empathy. Some other artists were even seen shedding tears. Jimin smiled slightly, then bowed deeply as a sign of respect. Jin patted his shoulder lightly, a gesture that seemed simple but full of meaning. Wordless support, that moment immediately became a hot topic in cyberspace. Hashtags related to Jimin and Jin immediately topped social media. Thousands of comments flooded platform X, Twitter, and Instagram, praising Jimin's courage and Jin's sincere expression that became the focus of the camera. Many fans considered this one of the most human moments ever shown by BTS in public. However, behind the praise, debates also arose. Some netizens considered Jimin's actions too risky to do at a formal event, considering his statement could be interpreted in various ways. Some worried that it could be misinterpreted by the media or certain parties. But on the other hand, many argued that Jimin was actually showing a side of humanity that is rarely seen in the South Korean entertainment industry, which is very organized and full of pressure. Jin's reaction after the event also attracted public attention. In a brief interview after the event, Jin admitted that he was indeed surprised, but he could not hide his respect for Jimin's courage. He said in a careful but honest tone, "I didn't expect Jimin to say it in front of so many people, but I know he did it because he cares." That short sentence immediately became a viral quote in various media. Pop culture observers assessed that this moment showed a new dynamic in the relationship between BTS members. Jin, who is more senior and known to be rational, seemed to learn to accept Jimin's spontaneity as a form of honest self-expression. Meanwhile, Jimin, with his bold actions, managed to transform the formal atmosphere into a space for emotional reflection. Some communication experts even called the incident a moment of public honesty, a rare event where a famous figure chose to speak from the heart, not from a prepared script. In a world often controlled by management and image, Jimin's actions were seen as a symbol of emotional courage. Interestingly, after the event ended, Jin and Jimin were seen walking side by side leaving the room. The camera briefly captured a short conversation between them, where Jin patted Jimin's shoulder with a small smile. That gesture showed that behind his initial shock, Jin understood the message Jimin wanted to convey. Now, several days after the incident, that moment is still a subject of reflection for many people. Not if you consider that Jimin's actions are a reminder that, even in the spotlight of the world, idols are still human beings who have their own feelings and thoughts. Jin, with his honest reaction, actually reinforced that message that friendship and honesty are more important than the perfection of public image. The surprising moment between Jin and Jimin at the official event has indeed become an extraordinary highlight. But the question now is much deeper than just what happened. But rather, did it really happen as reported? Or are we witnessing the result of media engineering deliberately formed to shake public opinion? In the digital age like today, the boundary between reality and narrative is increasingly blurred. Video clips circulating on TikTok and snippets of recordings on YouTube show Jin's reaction that appears surprised, and Jimin's statement that is called brave spread so quickly on various platforms. However, have we ever asked, is the recording intact? Is the context not changed? Does Jin's expression really describe surprise, or is it just the result of clever editing played to create sensation? The interesting fact is, many videos circulating on social media are only a few seconds long. Snippets of moments that can be interpreted in very diverse ways depending on who is watching. This is where the public needs to stop for a moment and ask, are we assessing reality, or are we just trapped in a game of perception created by social media algorithms? We all know that the entertainment industry, especially one as big as BTS, is inseparable from highly planned communication and promotion strategies. Is it possible that the moment of Jimin's courage and Jin's surprise was actually part of a scenario designed to revive public attention? Doesn't every viral event often have economic and strategic value behind it? But on the other hand, is it fair for us to immediately assume that everything we see is the result of manipulation? What if Jimin's actions were truly spontaneous and sincere, an outpouring of emotions that could not be contained in the midst of public pressure? If so, wouldn't accusing him of being media engineering actually erase the value of honesty he wanted to convey? Questions like these should encourage us to think more deeply about how we interpret news in the digital age. Who controls the narrative? Who benefits from the virality of an event? And most importantly, do we, as viewers, still have the ability to distinguish between fact and framing? If you pay closer attention, some fan accounts on Twitter shared different versions of the moment. Some asserted that Jimin did not speak outside the script, but only conveyed a message that had indeed been approved by the committee. Meanwhile, others claimed that Jin's surprised expression was only the result of a camera shot from a certain angle, not a reaction to Jimin's words. So, among so many versions, which one can really be trusted? We need to remember, social media has the power to change narratives in a matter of seconds. A video can be taken out of context, shortened, given dramatic music, and then spread with a provocative title like Jin Shocked. Jimin dares to speak up in front of everyone, and the public immediately reacts emotionally without verifying the facts. In situations like this, who is the real victim? The artists? Or the public who loses the ability to distinguish between reality and digital illusion? Furthermore, we need to ask, why does news like this go viral so quickly? Is it because it touches our deepest emotional side, curiosity, admiration, or even empathy for the idols we love? Or is it because the platform's algorithms are designed to amplify content that triggers emotional reactions? This is the dilemma of the modern age. News is no longer judged by its truth, but by how quickly it spreads and how much impact it has on the audience's feelings.